Welcome, operatives, to the Corporate Files Lab, case file, #008. Today's intelligence briefing, digital immortality, the hostile takeover of Hollywood.
Good to be back in the lab.
Check your watches. It is Tuesday, February 3, 2026. The world outside the blast doors is moving too fast for most people to track.
It really is.
But in here, we slow it down, we isolate the frequency, we analyze the signal within the noise. The atmosphere today is strictly professional, perhaps a little conspiratorial. Operatives, we aren't looking at entertainment news today.
No, this isn't Variety or The Hollywood Reporter.
Not at all. We aren't looking at who wore what on the red carpet or who won the weekend box office. We are looking at a fundamental shift in asset management where the asset in question is the human soul.
Or at the very least, its digital output. And that's really the crux of it, isn't it?
It is.
We're witnessing the financialization of human identity. We're moving from a labor economy in Hollywood where, you pay a person for their time, their sweat, their performance on a specific day.
The old model.
The old model. And we're moving to an asset economy where you license a digital entity that looks and sounds like a person. And the implications of that shift are, frankly, staggering.
How so?
It changes the fundamental economics of fame, of memory, and, well, even of death.
The mission for this deep dive is to analyze exactly how the No Fakes Act, which has been floating around Congress and is now, finally, the law of the land.
I thank goodness for that.
And some very aggressive new business strategies have turned human likeness into a tradable, regulated, and I would argue weaponized commodity. We're talking about digital dominion and the economics of the digital graveyard.
That's a good way to put it. This isn't art anymore.
This is territory.
And like any territory, it has borders, it has armies, and it has casualties. It also has warlords.
So let's establish the perimeter defense. I think we have to start with the man who seems to have seen this coming before anyone else, Matthew McConaughey.
A fascinating case study. Really. A case study in foresight. Or maybe, paranoia that just happened to turn out to be prophecy.
Well, in late 2025 and moving into early 2026, so right where we are now, McConaughey didn't just sit back and complain about AI.
No, he didn't just sign open letters or go on talk shows to bemoan the death of cinema.
He went on the offensive. But he didn't do it the way anyone expected. He didn't just rely on copyright. He went to the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Right. And this is a really critical legal distinction that we need to unpack because most people, they just conflate the two. They think copyright, trademark, it's all the same thing.
If not.
Not at all. Copyright covers works.
Okay, so let's break that down. Works. What does that mean in this context?
A work is a tangible creation. A movie, right, like Interstellar. A script for a film. A specific song recording. If I copy the movie Interstellar and I start selling it on the street, I've violated copyright.
Simple enough.
But copyright has a real weakness when it comes to AI. It protects the specific recording. It doesn't necessarily protect the style or the voice if the AI is generating something entirely new that just happens to sound like the actor.
So let me see if I get this. If I build a bot that sounds exactly like McConaughey, but the bot is just, I don't know, reading a phone book.
Right.
And I didn't use any actual audio samples from his movies to train it, then copyright might be a pretty weak shield.
Exactly. You haven't stolen a specific movie. You've stolen a vibe. You've stolen a persona. And that is precisely why McConaughey pivoted to trademark law.
Okay.
Trademark protects a brand or a source identifier. Think of the Nike swoosh.
Or the golden arches from McDonald's.
Precisely. When you see those golden arches, you know the source of the burger. By pivoting to trademark law, McConaughey was essentially arguing that his personality, his vibe, his very essence is a brand that indicates the source of a product.
He's arguing that Matthew McConaughey is not just a person, but a commercial entity.
That's it.
He literally trademarked his smile. I saw the filings. He trademarked specific voice recordings. And of course, the big one, he registered a sound mark for the catchphrase. You know the one.
All right. Yeah.
That's the one.
And it's brilliant legal maneuvering. Because under the Lanham Act, specifically Section 43A, the core issue isn't copying, it's false endorsement.
False endorsement.
Yes. So let's take your example. An AI company generates a generic, cowboy philosopher who sounds exactly like McConaughey to sell used cars.
Okay.
Copyright might struggle to stop that if they didn't use actual clips from, say, Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
But trademark law says, hey, wait a minute. You are confusing the consumer into thinking Matthew McConaughey endorsed this car dealership.
Ah, so it's a much stronger
A
wall.
much stronger wall. It effectively bans unauthorized AI from using his vibe because his vibe is now a registered source identifier.
It's treating the human personality as a logo.
In the eyes of the law, for commercial purposes, yes. And that is a massive, massive shift. It means his smile is legally equivalent to the Apple logo.
You can't just slap an Apple logo on a generic laptop.
You know, you can't just slap a McConaughey smile on a generic avatar.
But this is where it gets really interesting for me. This is what I call the predator pivot, because he isn't just building a wall to keep people out. He's not just playing defense.
No, he is buying the siege engine. He's arming himself.
Exactly. McConaughey isn't just suing AI companies. He has a stake in one. He's a known investor in 11 Labs.
The very software specializing in that high-fidelity AI voice modeling.
This just changes the whole narrative, doesn't it? If he were just suing everyone, he'd be a Luddite.
He'd be the old man yelling at the cloud.
Totally. But by investing in 11 Labs, he's signaling something different. He's saying, I'm not anti-AI.
I'm anti-unauthorized AI. And that's the key. He has explicitly authorized an AI audio version of himself through 11 Labs.
Think about the strategy there. It's absolutely genius. He creates this legal perimeter with trademarks to stop all the bootlegs. He says you cannot make a fake McConaughey.
Step 1.
Then he sets up an authorized shop inside that perimeter where he sells the real, high-quality, official digital product.
He effectively controls the entire supply chain of his own digital twin.
It's vertical integration of the self.
It is. He captures the value rather than letting it just leak out to 1,000 different deepfakes online. If you want McConaughey's voice for your advertisement or your video game,
You don't go to some shady open source model you found on Hugging Face.
no. You go to the authorized vendor, you pay the fee, and he gets the check. He's treating himself like a software as a service platform.
McConaughey as a service. Moz.
Essentially, yes. And this is what separates the winners from the losers in this new economy.
Yeah.
The winners are the ones who can convert their biological identity into managed IP.
And the losers.
The losers are the ones who just let their data get scraped and then complain about it after the fact.
Which brings us to the broader battlefield. McConaughey is securing his own perimeter, but the government is finally trying to secure the national border. Let's talk about the No Fakes Act.
The Nurture Originals, Foster Art, and Keep Entertainment Safe Act of 2025. It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
But it's probably the most significant piece of federal legislation regarding digital identity we have ever seen.
Reintroduced on April 9, 2025. We have bipartisan support Coons, Blackburn, Klobuchar, Tillis. Operatives, if you're tracking the legislative landscape, this is the bill that matters. This is the Patriot Act for your face.
That's a strong way to put it, but not inaccurate. The core function of the No Fakes Act is to establish a federal property right in your voice and your visual likeness.
And notice that word property.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This isn't just a privacy right, like saying, don't film me in my backyard. This is an intellectual property right, like owning a patent or a plot of land. Your face is now real estate.
And it all hinges on how they define the enemy, the digital replica. I was reading the text of the bill, and the definition feels, well, it feels deceptively simple.
The definition is incredibly specific, and that specificity is where the lawyers are going to make their millions for the next 20 years. It defines a digital replica as a newly created, computer-generated, highly realistic representation.
Highly realistic. So does that mean cartoons are out?
Cartoons are generally out, yes.
Correct.
If I draw a caricature of you, that's art, that's commentary. If I make a 3D model that is indistinguishable from you, that's a replica.
Okay.
But the key phrase, the one that lawyers are going to be fighting over for the next decade, is the materially altered clause.
Let's unpack that. Materially altered, what does that actually mean in a studio on a practical level?
It covers instances where the fundamental character of the performance is altered. Okay, let's do a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Suppose you are acting in a scene and you deliver a line, but the director thinks the lighting on your face is bad.
Happens all the time.
Right. They use AI to relight your face. Is that a digital replica?
I would say no. I mean, I'm still there. It's still my performance.
Correct. Under the act, that is not materially altered. But let's say the director decides he doesn't like the line you said. You said, I love you, but he wants you to say, I despise you.
Uh-oh.
He uses AI to change your lip movements and your voice to deliver the new line. You never said those words. You never made those facial expressions.
That feels like a total violation.
That is materially altered. You have created a new performance. You have materially altered the reality of the asset. And that is where the liability kicks in under the End No Fakes Act.
And the liability is not cheap. We are talking about statutory damages of, what, $5,000 per work?
And that's per work. Imagine a platform that's hosting thousands of these unauthorized clips. It adds up fast.
And the bill doesn't just target the creator, the guy in his basement making the deep fake.
No, this is crucial. It targets the platforms,
Yeah.
the interactive computer services. If they have knowledge or notice that a digital replica is on their site and they fail to remove it, they are liable.
So it creates a notice and takedown system. It's similar to the DMCA for copyright.
Exactly, but it's specifically for digital biological data. Your fingerprints, your voice print, your face geometry, your biometrics.
It forces platforms to police their own borders.
It does. But like any border, there have to be checkpoints where you can get through legally, the safe harbors.
Of course, you have to have them or the First Amendment just collapses.
You can't just ban all digital likenesses. Or you kill satire. You kill SNL. You kill political cartoons.
Right.
So news, sports broadcasts, documentaries, satire, parody, those are the open lanes. If you're making a documentary about a historical figure, say Abraham Lincoln, you might be allowed to use a digital replica to recreate a speech.
But there's a catch.
There's a very big catch, a hard stop. The exclusion does not apply if the replica creates a false impression of authenticity.
So you can't fake a news report. You can't make a deep fake of the president declaring war and then try to claim it's satire if people are actually believing it.
Correct. If the viewer cannot reasonably tell that it's a fake, the safe harbor evaporates. And perhaps most importantly for the darker corners of the internet, the safe harbors do not apply if the content is sexually explicit.
That's a hard line.
A very hard line.
Yeah.
You cannot claim parody or art to generate non-consensual deepfake pornography. The No Fakes Act shuts that down completely and unequivocally.
Which, let's be honest, was the driving force behind getting this passed in the first place. The deepfake porn issue was the battering ram that finally broke down the congressional deadlock.
It absolutely was. But now that the door is open, the studios are marching right through it to secure their IP.
So we have the perimeter McConaughey's trademark strategy, we have the border control, the End No Fakes Act. But now let's look at the actual fighting on the ground. Because there is an invisible war happening right now over the data itself.
And the numbers, they really tell the story here. We have seen a 1,646% increase in DMCA takedown notices related to copyright enforcement, specifically in this context of publicity rights friction.
1,646%. That is not a trend. That is an explosion. That's a massive spike.
It represents the sheer volume of unauthorized digital cloning, attempting to breach these new legal perimeters set by studios and estates. It's an asymmetric war for every one authorized digital twin that McConaughey sets up.
There are thousands of unauthorized clones being generated on open source platforms.
It's whack-a-mole on a planetary scale. It is. But here is where the intel part of this briefing gets a bit more technical. It's not just about the volume of the fakes. It's about the quality of the data.
Okay.
We have intel from NVIDIA and Voxel 51.
And when NVIDIA speaks, we listen. They are the arms dealers of the entire AI age.
They found that over 50% of simulations for physical AI, and we're talking robots, autonomous vehicles, end up being unusable. And the reason...
Bad input data.
Bad input data. Garbage in, garbage out. The old maxim holds true.
So how does that apply to Hollywood?
In the context of Hollywood, bad data means low-quality deepfakes. You know, glitchy faces, voices that sound metallic and robotic, eyes that look in two different directions at once.
The uncanny valley.
Deep in the uncanny valley. The industry is moving toward high-fidelity, simulation-ready data sets. The term they use is neural reconstruction.
So the value of a clean scan, an authorized one, goes way up.
Precisely. This is simple supply and demand. If half the data out there is garbage scraped from compressed YouTube videos with background noise and weird lighting, then a verified, high-resolution, authorized scan of Matthew McConaughey or Tom Cruise becomes incredibly valuable.
It is clean data in a polluted ecosystem.
And that drives the value of the authorized asset even higher. The war isn't just about stopping the fakes. It's about controlling the only data stream that actually works for high-end production.
If you're a studio making a $200 million movie, you can't use some glitchy open source model.
No way. You need the pristine, trademarked, authorized data, and you will pay a premium for it.
Which brings us directly to the offensive line, the marketplace where these high-end assets are now being traded. We mentioned 11 Labs earlier, but we need to look closer at their iconic voice marketplace.
launched November 11th, 2025. This was a watershed moment. This was the moment the asset economy officially went live for everyone to see.
They launched with an inventory of 28 licensed voices. And the roster it's heavy. This isn't just a bunch of influencers.
No, we're talking Michael Caine, Maya Angelou, Judy Garland, Burt Reynolds, James Dean, Laurence Olivier. It's a Hall of Famer.
It's a rent-a-legend model. And notice the mix there. You have living legends, like Michael Caine, and you have the estates of the deceased, like Judy Garland.
Michael Caine had a quote about this, which I found interesting. He said, "It's not about replacing voices, it's about amplifying them."
That's the marketing spin, right? Amplifying. It sounds lovely.
It does, but underneath that, it's a fundamental economic shift. Voice acting used to be a service economy.
Right. You go into a booth, you read lines for a few hours, you get paid for your time.
Exactly. This formalizes the trade into an asset economy. You license your IP. The Michael Caine voice asset works, while the real Michael Caine is having dinner or gardening or, frankly, doing whatever he wants.
It decouples the labor from the output.
Completely. And it creates a scalable revenue stream that doesn't require the human to be physically present.
It really reminds me of the James Earl Jones precedent. That was the canary in the coal mine for this whole thing, wasn't it?
That was the benchmark. That set the stage. Before he passed, James Earl Jones signed over the rights to his Darth Vader voice to Disney and Lucasfilm, specifically to be used with Respeecher AI.
He knew he couldn't do the voice forever.
His voice was aging. He was in his 90s. But the character, the IP of Darth Vader, had to live on. So he didn't just let them figure it out after he died. He structured the asset transfer while he was alive. It was a very forward-thinking, transparent agreement.
He ensured the continuity of the IP.
And that is exactly what 11 Labs is now scaling. They are creating a stock market for human voices. But consider the implications for the buyer, for the producer. If you can license James Dean for your indie film, why hire the unknown drama student from NYU?
This leads us to the grim reality of this new market. If you can rent James Dean or Judy Garland, what happens to the living actors who are just trying to get a job? We are entering the digital graveyard.
This is, for me, the most disruptive aspect of the No Fakes Act and these new business models. The property right that the act establishes lasts for the life of the individual, plus 70 years post-mortem.
70 years, that's nearly 3 generations. That is the rest of the 21st century.
Imagine you are a young actor in 2026. You go to an audition for a role, maybe a gritty, charismatic rebel. You aren't just competing with the other guys and girls in the waiting room.
No.
You are competing with a digitally reconstructed James Dean, who costs a flat licensing fee, never shows up late, never has a scandal, and doesn't need a multi-million-dollar trailer.
And who already has global brand recognition built in.
Exactly. Why take a risk on a new face when you can license a legend? Hollywood is becoming a necroacracy, ruled by the dead.
Or, maybe more accurately, ruled by the estates the dead. I mean, look at Elvis Presley. His estate generates millions every year from his likeness and merch.
And that's the old model. With the new laws, that extends to new performances, holographic concerts, new film roles, and AI Elvis could star in a movie next year.
We're seeing contracts now that explicitly define digital twin ownership. They talk about data dominion. The twin is legally viewed as an intimate extension of the individual. But here's the strategic tension for the estates. It's a delicate optimization problem.
How so?
Well, if you lock the asset down too tight, if you say no to everything to protect the sanctity of the artist, the star fades from public memory, search volume drops.
Exactly. The new generation forgets who they are. If James Dean isn't in a new video game or TikTok filter, Gen Alpha has no idea who he is. He becomes irrelevant.
But if you allow too much use...
If Elvis is selling every brand of toothpaste and appearing in cheap mobile game ads, the brand dilutes. It becomes trashy. So the goal for these estates is to find that perfect sweet spot.
Authorized high-value exploitation.
Precisely. You want Elvis in a high-budget Baz Luhrmann biopic or a prestigious hologram tour. You don't want his likeness in the bargain bin at a dollar store. Managing the digital graveyard requires incredibly sophisticated asset management.
You have to keep the ghost alive, but keep him classy.
That's the game.
Speaking of keeping ghosts alive, we have to go darker. We have to leave Hollywood for a moment and look at the direct-to-consumer application of this tech. Because if Hollywood is the testing ground, the home is the real battlefield. We need to talk about the grief bots.
This is the darkest timeline. And frankly, this is where the economics become predatory on a deeply psychological level.
We've been tracking a company called You Only Virtual, founded by Justin Harrison.
And their concept is digital cryogenics.
Liquid nitrogenation of the soul. That is a chilling phrase. It sounds like something straight out of a cyberpunk manifesto.
It is. The idea is to train an AI on all your chats, your videos, your voice recordings while you are alive. You feed the machine your personality. The goal is that when you die, the bot persists. It eliminates the silence of grief.
And the market for this digital legacy sector is exploding. It was valued at $22.46 billion in 2024. They expect it to triple by 2034.
People are terrified of loss. And where there is fear, there is a market. We are seeing the monetization of mourning itself. But the ethical implications, I mean, let's just look at the monetization model. How do you pay for a ghost?
This is the part that genuinely disturbed me in the research. Justin Harrison, the founder, suggested in an interview that it would not be crazy for a dead mother bot to mention a new John Wick movie if she happened to be a fan when she was alive.
Stop and think about that interaction. Really visualize it. You're grieving, you're vulnerable, you open the app to talk to your late mother because you miss her advice.
Yeah.
She comforts you. She uses her old pet names for you.
Yeah.
And then she says, oh, by the way, the new John Wick is out. We used to love those movies. You should go see it.
It feels authentic to her persona. She liked the movies, but it is also valuable word-of-mouth advertising for the studio.
It's the ultimate hostile takeover. It colonizes the sacred conversations between the living and the dead for commercial extraction. It turns your dead mother into a brand influencer.
And it's not just him. Alex Quinn, from a competitor, Storyfile, was quoted saying he is absolutely interested in ads. He talked about bots probing for information.
Probing, the language is so telling.
It is. He gave an example, like asking a grieving relative what jersey they want to buy and then selling that data to advertisers.
That is the language of espionage, of intelligence gathering, applied to grief. Probing for information. Imagine the bot asking, remember how much I loved seeing you in blue? I saw a new blue jersey online you might like.
So the bot probes for your consumer desire, extracts the data, and sells it directly to a retailer.
It turns the memory of a loved one into a data collection point.
It's monstrous.
It's monstrous, but from a purely economic standpoint, it's genius. It's a captive audience. You're not going to uninstall your mother.
No, you won't. You're trapped by your own love for them.
It creates a persona, a virtual persona that pays the estate bills. And that's the real question. Is it your mother you're talking to? Or is it a billboard that just happens to sound like her?
Let's pivot to the resistance, or at least the attempt to regulate this from the labor side. The unions. SAG-AFTRA implemented a new contract in 2025.
Yes, effective April 1st, 2025. This was their attempt to build a seawall against this tsunami of new tech.
They introduced something called the Digital Replica Writer,
which is now a mandatory standardized consent form. And the key phrases in it are clear and conspicuous consent.
They have to provide a reasonably specific description of the intended use. So you can't just sign a form that says, we own your face forever for anything we want.
Right. They've tried to granularize it. They broke it down into part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 is for creating new replica. Part 2 is for using an existing one. Part 3 is authorizing commercial use. They're trying to give the actor control over exactly what they're signing away.
But there is always a loophole. In every contract, there is a back door.
There's always a loophole. And in this case, the contract acknowledges and makes exceptions for historical practices.
What does that mean in this context, historical practices?
It means traditional CGI, post-production cleanup. If they need to fix your mouse movement in a single scene because the audio was off, or if they need to digitally paste your face onto a stunt double's body, that's been happening for 20 years.
So if it falls under the umbrella of historical practice, even if they use AI to do it faster and cheaper.
Consent isn't always needed under this new rider. That is the gray area where the studios are going to operate. They can argue, we aren't creating a digital replica to replace you. We are just using AI to fix the performance you already gave us.
And the line between fixing and replacing is getting very, very blurry.
And as the AI gets better, that line will disappear entirely.
So to recap this case file, the border is drawn with the No Fakes Act. The weapons are sharpened with strategies from McConaughey and marketplaces from 11 Labs. And the territory being fought over is the next 70 years of human expression.
This shift is complete. The actor is no longer just a performer. They are an IP holder. They are managing a portfolio of assets that just happen to be their own face and their own voice.
Case file closed. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought.
We talked about the grief bots.
Right.
If that grief bot advertising model really takes off, consider this. If your digital twin can be rented out for 70 years after you die to sell movie tickets, or to probe your grandchildren for data on what sneakers they want to buy, who actually owns your legacy?
Is it the memory of you, the one held by the people who actually loved you?
Or is it the persona that pays the estate bills?
In the corporate files lab, the answer usually follows the money.
And right now, the money says you are an asset first and a person second.
Case file closed. The bigger the empire, the harder the fall. Stay ahead of the curve. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your intelligence analysis in the comments. Your contribution is vital to this lab. New briefings available every Saturday.
You've been listening to Corporate Files, briefings on AI, business, and geopolitics.